Let me explain the pattern we keep seeing. This isn't about market returns and it's not about asset allocation. It's more like a phase shift. A lot of high net worth clients built significant retirement accounts over decades, obviously, and those accounts did exactly what they were supposed to do: defer the tax, grow efficiently, and accumulate. But at some point, income stops being the objective from that account. And when that happens, the math changes. An IRA is a phenomenal accumulation vehicle. It is not a phenomenal estate vehicle. When income is the goal, it can work beautifully. When legacy is the goal, it can quietly become the most tax friction-heavy asset in the structure, especially when it represents 30%, 40%, sometimes 50% of total net worth. That's where things get interesting. Okay, here's the dynamic. If nothing changes, the IRA passes to heirs subject to ordinary income tax, and I know you know that. And it's under compressed distribution timelines, typically 10 years to be depleted. And it's often layered into already high earning years for those who inherit it, and potentially stacked on top of estate exposure. So what looked efficient for 30 years can become the most inefficient transfer asset in the entire estate, not because someone made a mistake, but because the objective changed. And that's the part people miss. Most planning conversations still revolve around how do we optimize return or how do we minimize taxes this year. But if income isn't the constraint anymore, the better question becomes, how do we remove uncertainty from this account at transfer? Different lens, different conversation. And here's what makes this nuanced. Most of these clients don't want aggressive tax acceleration, don't want to write massive checks, don't want volatility dictating legacy outcomes, and don't want to overcomplicate the estate. So the solution is often not very obvious. You have to work inside of these constraints. So the shift happens when you stop viewing the IRA as a growth tool and start viewing it as a tax-exposed estate asset. Once you do that, you can evaluate sequencing, controlled distributions, liquidity alignment, structural repositioning, not to maximize return, but to define the outcome. That's a very different planning conversation. We're seeing this dynamic more frequently, especially with large retirement accounts that did their job during accumulation, but are now in a different phase. The accumulation phase solves one problem. The estate phase introduces a completely different problem. If that pattern is showing up in your world, it's worth examining before any kind of documents are finalized. Here's a real case where this became very tangible. You can click the button below. You don't have to provide any information. It'll take you right to it. Why don't you do that now so we can show you how we can work this problem?